Let's talk about creating extreme value. The more value you create, the bigger your marketplace. The more value you create, the more money you can make. The more value you create, the more you will sell your company for to somebody who wants to buy it. Who here is creating a company that you want to sell? I highly recommend that. Who wants to be rich? Woo! I am in the right room! Because what we're going to talk about is how do you create the value that can make you rich. And without that, nothing really happens. So let's talk about what buyers need to say yes to begin with. 50% of your success is based on your customer's motivation. Do they care about what you're creating? Because if they don't care about it, I don't care how good you are, I don't care about how cheap you are, they're not going to buy it. Anybody given a demo to somebody, a piece of software, and they never touched it? Anybody have that situation? Yeah, don't do that. Here's why. Buyers are liars. They will come up with a reason why they didn't try out your software. And it's not good for you. Never give somebody something for free unless they're motivated to use it. Then, 40% of your success is based on the relationship you create with your customers. Do they believe you? Do they trust you? Do they think that you are acting in their best interest? Because if they think that you're not, they're going to say, no thanks. No, I don't think so. Then 10% of your success is your product, your software. Anybody surprised by that? Anybody's surprised? Well, let's look at it this way. There's lots of ways to get the job done. There's a lot of people out there that do similar things to what you're doing. And if you said to your customers or to your community, mine's better, theirs is worse. Buyers are liars, right? They're going to make up a reason why you are worse. Keep this in mind. Friends come and friends go, but enemies are forever. We don't need enemies by knocking the other people's software. So the reality is, the product is not that important to your success. What's way more important to your success is that, well, it's this. It's the 90%. The 90% is the heart of your success. So what I'm telling you at DevPRO 18 is the development is only 10% of your success. Surprise. That's why we're talking about value. Let's figure out what that 90% is. See, the real secret here is to figure out your customer's motivation, why they would want to do business with you, and then make a product with that. That makes it easy. What we have to do to understand their motivation is look at their objectives, their priorities, and their criteria. That makes up their motivation. Let's go a little deeper. Are you ready? Ready to go deeper? Mm-hmm. All right, that's good. All right, this is pretty cool, huh? I know, guys, keep your eyes this way, not that way. You're cute. It's nice. Thank you. It's the first time people have kept their eyes glued to the whole stage, so thank you for being here. Would you travel with me? Here's how buyers decide. Number one is objective. What do they want to accomplish? What do they want to avoid? Even if it's just playing Candy Crush. What they want to accomplish is, I don't want to be bored. As I was flying here, I saw probably 10% of the airplane playing Candy Crush. Why were they playing Candy Crush? To erase the thought that they were on an airplane. And that counts. Sometimes we create things just to change the reality of the moment. That counts. Usually objectives are set by a scorekeeper. The scorekeeper could be their boss. It could be their wife or their husband. See, I have a scorekeeper in my life. Her name is Molly. When I figured out that she was in my life to make me perfect, things got a lot better. The married men are not laughing, are they? Scorekeepers are everywhere. Next is priorities. Priorities are the order in which they achieve their objective. And this is set by budget, scorekeepers, commitments, and deadline. If you're making industrial software, if you're creating software for enterprises, these things count. If you're making them for individuals, less so. And then criteria is what creates value for them. It's how they're going to choose or they're going to purchase. And what I want to focus on for the rest of our conversation here is the criteria that creates value. That's what's going to create extreme value. So the truth about value is this: your value propositions have no meaning until they align with your customers' objectives, priorities, and criteria. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. The other thing that we have to work on is reducing risk. Raising value, reducing risk creates success in the products that you create. There's three fundamental ways to reduce perceived risk. Number one is proof. Show people that you can help them accomplish their objective within their priorities. And we do that by making sure the proof is relevant. In other words, it fits their view of the world. If you're creating enterprise, industrial type of software, you can't use an example from the banking world for the healthcare world. They can't do that. It has to be completely relevant, has to be contextual. So they have to see how it works inside their world, and then it has to be identity aligned for them and their scorekeeper. Remember, I just talked about identity in sports. Well, the same thing happens in organizations and companies, is they have a specific identity that they have to maintain. And they're not going to buy anything that damages or changes that identity. So you have to have identity alignment. Next is guarantees or insurance. We have to make the risk come to us, not to them. If they feel that buying from you or doing business with you will create risk, either risk of loss of money or loss of reputation. People fear their loss of reputation more than they fear loss of money. And so we have to take away the risk, and we have to make sure that we hold the risk, not them. If you make them hold the risk, they're not going to do business with you. If your guarantee doesn't scare you, it's not a good guarantee. My guarantee is you're going to like it or you don't pay, including travel expenses. Now, I do that for two reasons. Number one, I only agree to things that I know I can do a great job doing. And number two, it makes my customers feel comfortable because there's zero risk to them. I'm risky. Because if I don't show up, or if I'm embarrass myself in front of you, they look bad. I'm risky. So are you when you're doing your thing. And then number three is reveal the process. Show people how it works. Reveal the process. Here's how it works. Here's how we work together. So they feel comfortable and confident that this is something they can agree with. So these are three ways of reducing risk. Did I really say that? Okay, cool. All right, here's the formula for making billion-dollar companies. Who'd like to find that out? Just checking to making sure you're in the right room and I'm sharing with you the right ideas. I got this with my interview with Perry Marshall, who wrote the book 80-20 Marketing. I have a podcast, a weekly podcast called The Selling Disruption Show, where I interview somebody who is way smarter than I am about a variety of topics. And I interviewed Perry, who's an absolute genius when it comes to marketing. And this is one of the things that we got out of the show. So number one is you must create a definitive selling proposition. You must be able to tell your customers what you do very clearly in very short words. If you can tell your 8-year-old what you do and they understand it, you've got it right. If it takes more than 4 or 5 words, you got to work on that. That's not a well-defined value proposition. For example, what I tell people is I help companies sell expensive things as fast as possible. Is that a reasonable value prop? So what that does is separates who I want to do. I don't work with companies that sell cheap things. They don't have money. And everybody wants to learn how to sell faster. Well, what I'm revealing to you is how you sell things faster. You sell to objectives, priorities, and criteria. That's all you sell to. You find out their motivation and sell to that. It's easy. Number 2 is be number 1 in a growing market. Here's a tip for you, my friends. Never create software for a shrinking market. It frustrates you, and it frustrates your customers. You want to be out on the leading edge. That's where the money is to be made. Number 3, radically simplify something or incredibly slash the cost of something. The idea is to reduce friction. If you take a look at the software companies that we call unicorns, you know, the ones that are worth billions of dollars, they all reduce friction. For example, Uber. They make getting a ride frictionless. Amazon, one button gets you toilet paper. That's frictionless. So how can you reduce the friction for your customers? How can you make what they want so easy that it's a single button press? That's part of what we do. Is that me?
No.
That's cute. That's oh, it's a buyer. All right, that's a happy buyer. I like it. All right. I was going to say I didn't think I had that much hair. All right, that's good. Number 4 is use the network effect. One of the reasons why Facebook, everybody knows Facebook, right? The reason why Facebook is so big and so powerful is because there are so many people that use it. The more users you have, the more powerful and the more valuable that what you create has. So we have to have the capacity of creating a massive network if we're going to make a lot of money. Then number 5, sell to a distinct, unique, passionate fan base. Think sports. These people will show up in bad weather to cheer a team that's losing. Those are your kind of customers. Those are good people because they still pay money even though they lost. They'll come back next game. That's a passionate fan base. Let me give you another way of looking at this. I believe that your minimum viable market is more critical than your minimum viable product. You're familiar with minimum viable products, right? Yeah, because we all use lean approach to creating our products. The minimum viable market is the smallest market that you can possibly use and still make $1 million. Otherwise, why bother? Really. You know, you're working 80 hours a week, you might as well get paid for it. And let me give you an example of that. Let's think about hamburgers. If you had a hamburger restaurant, what competitive advantage would you want If you could have just one thing, what would that competitive advantage be? Just shout it out. What do you think it would be? Healthy. All right, there's one answer. I've got a better one.
We're vegan.
Quick, vegan. What other competitive? I've got better ones than that. What do you think?
Calories.
Fat, what's that?
Less calories.
Less calories. Okay, I've got one better than that. What competitive advantage do you want? Hamburger restaurant. Come on, you're inventing a product here. Taste better. I got one better than that. Cheap. I've got one better than that. What else?
More calories.
More meat. More calories. I got one better than that. You ready? What was that?
Be in the right place.
Be in the right place. Location. I got one better than that. You ready for it? A starving crowd. You get it, don't you? It's not about the product, it's about the motivated buyer. That's what creates value. It's not the product, friends. Your competitive advantage is a starving crowd. How can you find somebody that want to do something and haven't been able to? That's the place we create extreme value. Without ready and willing buyers, your product has no value. So, invest as much thought, time, and money in developing your market as you do in developing your product. Developing your market is as important as developing your product. Because then that means that the product development actually will make you money. So how do you find a starving crowd? The way I figured it, there's about $5,000 there. No wonder she's happy. All right, so number one is define your passionate community. Who are passionate about what it is that you wish to do? Or maybe that's just what you do. You find a passionate community. So you've probably heard the word passion before. What does that mean? Oh, first time for you? Is that? No, just kidding. What does that really mean by passion? Well, I'll tell you. What is it that you think about more than anything else? Hunger. All right, so that's what you want to look for, is how can you help people solve their hunger if you're always hungry? It's because you're passionate about hunger.
You're passionate about food when you're hungry.
Well, that's right, and it happens 3 times a day. So maybe you can do something around food, because you'll find other people that think are hungry 3 times a day, or 4 times a day, or 6 times a day.
Mental hungry for something.
Oh, all right, well that works too. Some sort of unfulfilled need creates a passion. That gap is where we make money. Got it? I knew you would. So we define our passionate community, and then you're going to need another sheet of paper. Oh, yeah, really? You that much? Well, I'm only halfway through. I'm teasing. So then identify a cause. A cause is something that they want to improve, like helping hungry children, or helping people who are addicted to drugs, or helping people who have a hard time, but maybe they're homeless. Whatever that cause happens to be, whatever it is that charity that they want to fulfill, identify that charity that fuels their passion. Then find your community and start to create a relationship by supporting their cause. Do you see how we can connect with that community extremely fast by using something that they're passionate about within their passion? The passion within their passion is the starting point, because it's their most passionate point. So we connect there. That's the starting point. And then, within that, you're going to get incorporated within the community. Then find the most passionate members and invite them to help you design your product. Is this a cool formula? You think you can make money with this idea? Yeah. All right, let's talk about how do you create that extreme value. There's fundamentally 30 elements of value. And this comes from Bain and Company, and this was published in the Elements of Value in the Harvard Business Journal, September 2016. When I saw this, I said, oh yeah, This is cool. Thank you, 5 minutes. 5 minutes, 5 slides, we're done. Let's take a close look at them. First of all, at the bottom of the pyramid is functional value. What creates function? It helps them improve things physically, and some of these things include saves time. Saves time, reduces cost. Now, frequently people use save time, save money as a value proposition. Unfortunately, that value proposition is not a necessarily good one. And the reason why is because how much time can we save to? Instant. 0. In fact, most of the frictionless applications we use today already do that. Click a button, a ride shows up. Click a button, toilet paper shows up. We're already at that 0 point. Saving money. How much money is the maximum that we can save them? To free. Many things today are already free. So today, saving time and saving money is the cost of admission to the marketplace. You with me on that? That cool or what? Isn't that cool or what? Yeah. All right, ladies, you've got another place you can put it, okay, if you have to, but you can always turn a handheld mic to a free, anyway, carry on, Mark. So this is the list of things that are the cost of admission now. You just have to do these things. If your product doesn't include at least half of these, you're not in the marketplace. Next is emotional value. Now we're getting more important. Now we're getting into something that's even more motivating. So reduces anxiety. For example, I use Uber as my second car. I raised 5 millennial children. I know it's impressive, isn't it? I think I'm a good dad because none of them live at home. Yeah, so reduces anxiety. So when I use Uber as my second car, what I like is the fact that they actually tell me how long I have to wait for that car to show up, which is really good when I'm getting an Uber to the airport. So reduces anxiety is easy, rewards me. Badge value is a big idea because people like to level up. Then next is life-changing value. This gets to be even more important. People are willing to spend even more for this, such as motivation, affiliation, belonging, provides hope. Hope. Self-actualization, being able to live to your full potential. And at the top of the pyramid, what's most valued is self-transcendence. In other words, being better than who you thought you could be. And if you can help people do better, that's where that idea of finding people who have a cause. Cause is always self-transcendental, where you're giving beyond yourself to help others be better than they are. Those are places where we create extraordinary value. That's why cause-based marketing has such extreme value. So use these 30 ideas to help you build more value into your products. Because the more elements of value you deliver that matches your customer's motivation, the more extreme your value is. So my friends, here's how you can get a hold of me. Here's how we can stay connected. Here's how we can keep the conversation going. So, do you have new ways that you can create extreme value for your customers?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Woohoo! Let's go do it! Yeah! Thank you. Thank you, thank you. You have one question, sir. Do we have time for questions? Oh, very cool.
Thanks for your ideas with us.
Delighted, thank you.
Okay, I got an impression that you talk more about B2C market, about these emotions and the cutting costs, etc. But what do you think? It still works for the B2B market?
It actually works more in B2B than most people realize. If we had just a little bit more time, I would show you a matrix. In fact, where's my bag? Here it is. It's a good thing it's a Mac. In my newest book, I have a matrix about B to C, about how executives think. And we actually outline it. Here it is. See, it's right here. Oh, I know, it's too small for you to see. Damn. But the last column is feel. It is how executives must feel before they can say yes. It ends up that every executive checks their gut before they can agree. And each executive in their role has a different feeling that they must have before they can say yes. Now, all of you are going to get a digital copy of this, but you can have this physical copy. And if you'd like, I'll be glad to autograph it for you. Actually, I'd prefer to autograph it. Otherwise, you can send it back to Amazon for $25. Here, no. I'll get it later. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last thing I would like to hear from you, what do you think if I have a working MVP product?
Yes.
And I have no budget for marketing. I realize I need much more marketing guys, and I have no budget. Is it still a good idea to fire 3 developers and hire 1 good market guy?
If you don't have a market lined up, you're fucked.
Thank you.
Not that badly. You need to start working on your marketing. The whole point, friends, is if you don't have people ready to buy, I don't care how good your product is. It's not worth anything yet. So you don't need to fire developers, but what you do need to do is go back to that list of how do you find your community, start working there. Because what I just demonstrated to you takes not very much money at all. I actually gave you a very inexpensive way to find a passionate audience extremely quickly. Find them, support their cause, then round up some people that show up for that, and then they're going to be your marketing enthusiasts. Cool? All right, thank you. All right, what's next? We have some more questions? We have some more time for questions?
Yeah.
Woohoo!
We have 5 minutes.
Oh, hey! So you are going to need another page.
Oh yeah, thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
And
Thanks.
I'm a commercial officer at the company. And I would like really get your advice or your view. What elements of values that you showed or level of elements of values that you showed are most important for growth hacking of existing product on B2B market?
All right. So when it comes to growth hacking, the key element you have to do is reduce risk. The thing that holds everybody back is perceived risk. You're risky as a new company, your product is risky, and the reason why is in B2B markets, you're not just selling to one person, you're selling to their boss, and their boss's boss, and their boss's boss. And the reason why is because if they make a bad choice and something goes wrong, their boss is going to say, you don't have good judgment. So their career is limited. They will never get promoted if they're seen as having bad judgment. So we have to create as low risk as we possibly can in B2B. In fact, the risk is what slows down sales. Make it as frictionless, as risk-free as you possibly can in B2B so that going up the chain, they feel comfortable and confident that there's no risk.
So, and to reduce that risk, I should take all the 3 steps that you already showed.
That would be
guarantees.
proof guarantees, and show them the process.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Woo! Who's next? The dude with the Godfather shirt. I'm going to be careful.
Codefather.
Oh, Codefather. I love it. We're going to make you some code. You can't refuse. Oh, you're going to steal that one, aren't you? Good, I'll write more. Your question.
Okay, thank you for your compliment. Thank you also for your presentation. Wonderful lecture. Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to ask you, you live in America, and want to ask you, what products do you buy with passion or use with passion that was not available a few years ago, like maybe 5 years ago? This may be not yet in Russia, so this is like opportunity.
All right, well, first of all, my passions are music. I'm a musician. In fact, I have a guitar I carry with me. It's been around the world numerous times. So some of the things that I couldn't get 5 years ago is every song in tablature so I can play any song that I want. That is cool, really cool. Number two is we now have the compute power in our mobile device to do complex waveform calculations. So I can play any chord and it will tell me what that chord is, even if it's a flatted fifth, 7, 11, 13. I mean, even if it's a complex, it can figure it out. Couldn't do that 5 years ago. So use the compute power of what we have to do things that were in the past impossible because we didn't have the compute power. So fundamentally, you just look for things that people are having passion for. You know, hobbies are always a good one. So people building things and selling them, like Etsy is a popular platform. Are you familiar with Etsy?
Is it a marketplace?
It's a marketplace for handmade goods. So there may be an opportunity there. If somebody can make something in their garage and then they can sell that online to other people that want that, that may be an interesting opportunity. Look for ways that help people that are passionate make money from their passion, and you're going to make money along the way. All right, other questions? Yes, sir. Shout it out. Go ahead. No, I can't.
Because
Thank you.
I use microphone because
That's good.
voice not sound on the video. So,
Thank you, sir.
my question about your opinion about tomorrow marketing or maybe nowadays marketing. You said that nowadays marketing think about values, and it's based on the buyer's passion and its needs and cost. So, in my view, nowadays marketing creates cost and creates buyer's passion. We see that sometimes great things that things are created and people don't even think that they need them. But marketing talk them to buy it. So maybe it's my bad imagination or so what your opinion?
Two things. Number one is that wants become needs over time. 11 years ago, nobody needed a flat piece of glass with no buttons on it. We had flip phones. So cool. Remember when we had to pull the antenna out with our teeth? We don't have to do that anymore. But at one time, this was a want. Now it's a need. So over time, that happens, and what we want to do is figure out the wants that will become needs over time and be part of that movement. Second of all is that as a developer, you don't have the money to become a missionary, to teach people something new. That's why we want to choose passionate audiences, passionate markets, because they're the easiest place to go to. Now, if I was talking to a group of Fortune 500 companies, this would be a different speech, because they have millions of dollars to create identity attachment for their products. That's what Coca-Cola does. Because Coca-Cola is selling identity. You know, you're going to be a better sports star when you drink Coke. Right? So you're better off looking at that want to need, and you're better off finding people who already want but have a gap that's not there. Is that helpful?
So maybe we should look at big companies that create passion of the buyers.
Sure. Or create a product that big company has a gap, build it and sell it. It's not your first piece of code or your last piece of code. All right, thank you. Nice.
It was the last question, but we have a present or a gift for a person who asks you the best question. Could you choose anyone?
Wow.
Yeah, it's difficult, but we have to.
This guy who I swore at.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you for the speech. Yeah, it's finished. Let's say thank you for Mark.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much.